In the darkest night, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, everyone. How you doing today? You found Surviving Together, a safe space for trauma survivors to connect and build community on their healing journey, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. So far, we've got Indigo and Crystal are here. How are you both doing this afternoon? Um, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I have a migraine right now, but I didn't want to cancel because this was an important show for me to cover for you guys. The courage to change. I it's something I've been dealing with this week and thinking about a lot. And I know that a lot of us can get into paralysis mode, or freeze mode, we might call it. I particularly, when I get overwhelmed by things, it's my default trauma setting, and sometimes it's easier to come out of it than others. The past few weeks, last week and the week before, were particularly difficult for me. I've been mainly out of work, and when my schedule gets thrown into a tailspin, when I'm not doing my normal day job, when I'm not earning an income, I get I get overwhelmed, and my schedule gets off, and I've got the pressure of the book launch coming up, and with being nominated for the award for the Americas Summit, I think just all of the stress of it kind of just weighed down on me, being able to earn an income, being able to afford my bills, knowing that, I'm taking a leap in terms of a book, and with, that getting published and going to the book launch, all the people who are going to be there, um, incredible women who have already accomplished so much. Most of them run their own businesses and, can either write off their travels as a business expense, or have, a broader connection base for fundraising. And so things were a little bit easier monetarily for them that way. Knowing I could be in a different position financially if I had chosen not to go, be in person at the launch. I could have attended online, but um, it's important for me uh, to be there for the launch, to speak, to get a chance to speak on the panel about my chapter and what this means to me. The networking opportunity is absolutely incredible, but the stress of that because of my social anxiety has been building as well. So uh, all of that has just kind of, you know, pushed down on me and uh, made me question my decisions, question my value with what I'm doing. And so I was struggling a lot with that. Hey, Shannon, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Um, Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for sending love and prayers in regards to my. You could tell I wasn't feeling well. I gotta put that up because it laughs. Um, yeah, I've been told it shows in my eyes when I'm in pain, and I've already taken my migraine medicine that I can today. So it's ice packs for me for here on out for the evening. Um, but I wanted to share, what's been working for me. Um, I read a while back that in regards to making a change, that that defining moment for us can often be when the pain of doing nothing is the cost is too great in terms of comparing it to making a change. And I think that that's a good way of thinking about ourselves and our decisions is staying the way I am hurting me? Is that worse than the fear of the unknown or making that change? So I decided that Monday I was going to actively do something. And even though I wasn't working, like I said, when my schedule gets thrown off, I get thrown off. And you would think if I have free time and I'm not having to worry about doing my day job, that I would be able to get so much more done, right? Because you don't have to worry about putting in 8 or 9 hours at work. You've got all this time in the world, and so I could get all these, little projects done that I want to get done. It's the opposite for me. I tend to fall apart without that structure. So I had to create a structure and I had to celebrate each individual success. And we've talked about this before that making a change, it doesn't need to be a big step forward. It can be a really small step forward, but you have to celebrate that for yourself and you have to mean it. In terms of what I mean is, you have to really believe that that little step meant something. So it, it was a struggle Monday, and I didn't actually get moving until about 1 in the afternoon. But um, I wanted, there's been so many projects around my house that have needed to get done. My room is a mess, as it normally is. It'll get clean, and then over a month, it'll laundry will pile up. They're stacked neatly, right? And things that need to get um, put into my hung up and put in my closet, or some returns that I need to do that are kind of stacked in one pile in my room. My office is constantly in disarray. My filing. I had finally gotten, like, kind of to a point with my filing, gotten through some back stuff, and now that basket is full again. So, there's that. There's, things in my office closet that need to get rearranged. Um, and some of that I really kind of uh, need my son to help with because there's things of his in there and finding time with him with his busy life. He works so hard during the day, 11-hour shifts, and then he wants to have fun with his friends and do things. So, and I understand that. But we're setting aside some time so that he can help me with a few of these things that I just need his input on, and then hopefully I'll be able to move forward with it on my own. But one of the things I knew that I could do is my china cabinet, which has sat empty in my house since I moved in 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. And the china that needed to go in it has been in boxes on either side of it, sitting, waiting patiently. Um, the boxes have deteriorated over that time because Moki, my cat, one of my cats, absolutely loves to sit on top of the box and then chew the edges. And any newspaper that pokes through, he'll tear that apart. So it was time. It was either the boxes were going to fall apart, now the china was going to fall out, and I needed to do something. But I couldn't just put everything in, right? I had to wash it. It had not been washed since gosh only knows. I don't even know if I washed it before I moved it here. So that was a task. Um, it's one of these old antique ones. So there's, different pieces in the molding where I had to get some Q-tips and toothbrushes, and I had to find the Murphy's oil soap and 2 or 3 buckets of changing water and washing shelves, and then I took some oil to it, and I oiled it to bring out the shine a little bit, and my goal was to have to do that and then just put the china in and have it all done Monday afternoon. Yeah, that didn't happen, but I did get it washed Monday afternoon, and so I had to consider that a win, and as I sat down afterwards and thought, okay, I should be doing some more. It's only 7 o'clock. I could be doing more, but I hurt my body. I wasn't used to that kind of level of activity, the bending and everything that was needed for it. So I called one of my friends and just said, this is what I did today. And I'm calling to celebrate with you. And just hearing somebody say back to me, "Congratulations. It's great that you did that. It's great that you got that done." That validation, um, so that, yes, so I could be proud of that accomplishment and really internalize that as a success and not look at what I didn't get done, but look at what I did get done. So 6.5 years of the sitting, empty that I hadn't gotten to, and I did it. So Tuesday came around and I still wasn't working. And um, one of my goals, and speaking to my friend, I'd kind of outlined my plan for the week to try and keep some structure. And for me, verbalizing something to somebody else just it sets it in stone for me. Um, it just makes it real, like it's a real plan, like I have to follow through more because I've spoken it out loud to somebody versus just saying it in my head and going, "Yeah, okay, this is my plan for the day." You know, even if that's just writing it down and journaling, um, that can be helpful, and just getting it out and outlining steps. I'm definitely a list person, so I try and keep lists of projects that I need to do, of things that are, ASAP. I try and, take and you'll see, oh my God, sticky notes. Here's my little list of things that are kind of my ASAP projects that need to get done. And it that really helps me commit to following through more. So, one of the things that I think it was last Saturday we spoke about was that I wanted to get moving more. And so I haven't gotten on the walking program, but doing these projects is definitely movement. It's definitely using my muscles. And so again, I'm considering that a win, that I did move. I did do something. I didn't just lay on the couch. And totally get this. Shannon says sometimes I can't shower and get out of bed. I believe me, I understand that level of paralysis. Um, I mean, we have to get out of bed a little bit for our pets, right? And I know you understand that. I have Moki batting at me every morning at around 6 o'clock, so I'm getting out of bed at least for that. But whether I make it back upstairs to bed or whether I just, end up laying on the couch, I can veg with the best of them. I know a lot of people say, retirement is the worst because now they've got all this time in the world and they find that they're, actually eager to get back to work or whatever. I think I'm the opposite. I think I would be very happy in retirement. I can do nothing all day and be very, very happy. Um, if I'm not struggling with things that I should be doing. If you are struggling with things you should be doing, then we just spend all day beating ourselves up about it, right? You're like, I'm doing nothing, but I should be doing something. And it just puts us in an even worse mental state because now we're beating ourselves up because we're not doing what we think we should be doing, and we're feeling even worse about ourselves, which increases us not even wanting to do anything because we're feeling so bad about ourselves. And this is exactly the feeling. Shannon says I'm ashamed of myself, and I believe me, I was like that for almost 2 weeks, and pretty much the only things that I was doing is cooking occasionally for my son so that he could have lunches, and taking care of the cats. And occasionally I'd have like 3 or 5 hours of work to do. um, it's been very sporadic, and I'd managed to do that, and then I was right back to doing nothing. And those feelings, it's a vicious circle, right? We feel bad about ourselves because we're not doing anything, which makes us feel worse, and it makes us not want to do anything, and then we're not getting our stuff done. And so that's why I say, anytime you do get something done, when you're feeling like this, when you've got that paralysis, you have to truly celebrate it, and you have to truly believe that it's a success and not minimize it. Because if we do minimize it and we're like, oh, I did this, but I only did this, and there's this, and this that I didn't get done, then we're just pushing ourselves back down again instead of lifting ourselves up. And that's why I knew it was so important that I spoke with somebody to say, listen, I did this. And to speak with somebody who gets it, who's been there, who understands what those little successes mean and can truly help lift you up and celebrate that little success. So Tuesday morning, I did um, end up getting, a bunch of resumes sent out, kind of getting in touch with some other companies that I've worked with in the past, just letting them know I was available for work. Um, and one interview that I'm going to have next week. It's kind of with a headhunting agency, so it's not for a specific job, but for them to try and look and place me. It's just another avenue, right? That can potentially get me something that is going to be a little more lasting. So I sent all that stuff out and I felt good about that, even though there wasn't immediate work available because of it. And then the afternoon, that's when I ended up oiling the cabinet and getting my china out. And I was going to put the china in and be done with the cabinet. Oh, right? No, because as I'm getting the china out, I'm getting the glasses out, everything's dusty, even though it's been wrapped in newspapers for forever, it's still got dust and smudges and it needed to be washed. And so I think I went through about 3 sinkfuls of china and crystal and glassware that needed to be washed and dried and, all that kind of stuff. So that really took up the rest of the day. So I didn't actually get the stuff loaded into the china cabinet until Wednesday. But then on Wednesday, I did get it loaded and it's done. And as I shared on Wednesday, discovered that unfortunately, I don't have 12 sets of china anymore. I have 9 sets of china and 9 sets of stemware. So somewhere along the way, before I packed everything up, 3 of them were taken, disappeared, and it that was really tough. That was really tough. And I knew I had more that I wanted to do, and I had my things on my ASAP list that really need to get done. I need to get some returns done. I need to get some paperwork filed with some various agencies. But I knew that the emotional toll of what was going on with me, just the violation, the sadness, the disappointment, I had to address that and I had to sit with it and I had to come to peace with it because if I didn't, it was just going to be a cloud that was going to be hanging over my head. And so I let myself off the hook, gave myself some grace for the rest of Wednesday, came on live with you guys for Wednesday, and said, okay, Thursday, we're going to get to it. And I'll be absolutely honest with you guys. Thursday was a bust. Thursday was a bust. Um, Partly because I was suffering from a headache all day. We've got rain that's moved in and out, and so the pressure's been changing. But I've worked through that before, and there's things I could have done, but um, again, I started thinking about everything that was coming up and the mental pressure of what was, hanging over me. I just Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So I said, all right, Friday, Friday's a new day, right? Every day is a new day. And we can choose to start anew. And sometimes we can have the best of intentions, right? You wake up and you're like, okay, today's a new day. I can get something done. Whether we get it done or not, remains to be seen. Um, Fortunately, I did get some work on Friday, so I was able to actually work and bill some hours, which was great. And a new project has come up, which is in the development stage. We're not quite sure where it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to lead to like lasting hours. We have another meeting on Monday in regards to it. We're in the process of putting a presentation together for our client to see if they're going to accept it and move forward with us with doing it. But we've got a lot of work um, to do to put that all together. So I will be working at least, billing hours in terms of doing that. And it's taking my job in a new direction. It's dealing with the intersection between legal work and AI, which is exciting. So I am learning more about AI, even though I've used GPT for our stuff, for the research for the channel, and just in general. Uh, but I'm getting to know it a little bit more in terms of how to utilize it, how to teach it more beyond the limited scope that I've done. So hopefully, even if this project doesn't end up the client doesn't end up accepting us in terms of doing this project, I'll have learned a lot with AI, which can only help me in the future. So I am excited about that. And I did speak with a friend of mine on Thursday when I was kind of at my lowest. And I don't know, it's weird. It seems the universe seems to know when I'm at my lowest and gives me a little something. And I was able to talk to my friend and get a little perspective in terms of where I am, in terms of where I want to go. Uh, I struggle a little bit with this channel in terms of, the numbers have been down. And to me, that means that I'm not reaching people like I used to be. And what's changed? What do I need to change? Because I want to reach as many people as possible, but I want to be what you guys need. And so, kind of thinking a few steps ahead in regards to what I may need to do different um, for the channel as well. Hi, Chrissy. How are you doing? I'm glad to see you here. I've been speaking for a little while, so I just wanted to go through uh, a few of the comments. It does me good. It really makes me feel absolutely awesome when I see you guys supporting one another. Um, and even though we're in different places and, all across the world and far apart, uh, seeing Indigo offer up her services in terms of organization for Shannon on a video chat, this is what it's about. And it's about connecting with each other and supporting one another. And I'm looking back through your comments and seeing seeing you guys be vulnerable with each other and supporting one another is so, so incredible. Um, Indigos, I know that feeling, and it's the feeling of, kind of not getting stuff done. I feel like half the time I walk a tightrope, so I try to give myself positive validation when I complete a task. Absolutely. And it is so important that, like I said, that we truly believe in the value of that small accomplishment, that we do not minimize or put ourselves down for only doing a small accomplishment. Like I said, I wanted to get that china cabinet done all Monday afternoon and thought that that was totally reasonable. And it took me till Wednesday late afternoon to actually get it all done, but it got done. And, I showed my son when he got home on Wednesday and he looked at it and he's like, wow, mom, that looks really good. And I just, I took a moment and had to pat myself on the back and say, okay, it's it didn't get done in the timeline that I wanted it to get done, but I kept moving forward with it each day. I kept doing a little bit more with it each day until it did get done. And I stuck with it. And that's huge. That is huge. When you have a project and you keep doing it day after day until it gets done, it's not only the fact that you finally got that project done that should be celebrated. What should be celebrated is your determination each day to keep chipping away at it. Indigo says small steps lead to big projects, big progress. That's what I have learned. 100%. Crystal says, I set a goal with my counselor to do a task for at least 10 minutes a day. I knew I could do that much. A week in, and I'm up to 14 minutes minimum. That is awesome. You know, I had a counselor tell me once when I was struggling with even the basics tasks around the house, when I was really at my lowest, and the sink was piled with dishes every day, and I couldn't even keep up with the kitchen. And people would say, "Well, just do the dishes. Don't look at the rest of the kitchen. Just do the dishes." But even doing the dishes, it was like, "That's an entire sink full of dishes. That's going to take me hours. Oh my gosh." And then you start beating yourself up because of the state that everything is in. And my counselor said, "You know what? Pick 3 dishes. Pick 3 dishes that need to be washed or that need to get put into the dishwasher and just do that. And then give yourself some downtime. And maybe in another hour, pick another 3." That I could do. So that may seem like such a small thing. Like you did 3 dishes, really? By the end of the 2nd day, the sink was cleared. And the next day, I could just wash the stove. And the next day, I could do whatever dishes were left, what got put in the sink from, the day before. And so each day I was able to do a little bit more. So as Crystal's counselor is encouraging her to do is say, do something, do a task for 10 minutes a day. If it has to be that small, if it has to be 5 minutes, you're making progress. And again, I cannot stress this enough. It is so important that we celebrate those little wins and truly believe it ourselves that that little win is worth celebrating. Other people may be able to go through life And all of this is nothing to them. And you know what? Great for them. But we're in a different spot. And eventually, maybe we'll be able to do all of it as easy as they do. Maybe it'll always be a struggle for us to kind of manage our daily lives. The important thing is that we keep at it. And then when we don't feel that we can do it, that we give ourselves the grace and that we don't beat ourselves up for it, that we reach out for support at those times because it's those times that we need to hear it from other people the most. Instead of getting stuck in our own head and getting stuck in that loop of beating ourselves up for not doing anything, which leads us not to do anything, which leads us to beat ourselves up for it. Being able to reach out to somebody and have them lift us up a little bit, that support is so critical. And it's one of the things that I got thinking about with this channel. And, I wonder sometimes, do I share too much of my life with somebody, you know, with somebody, with you guys? Am I putting too much of myself out there? And some people may say yes. But for the people I think that are here, for the people that need to hear that there's somebody else out there like them that go through these struggles, that understand, I have to say no. If somebody I date in the future finds this and goes, "Oh my God, that is just, I'm not getting involved with that." Well, they're not right for me. They can look at that and go, "Man, that girl's determined. No matter what she's going through, she wakes up the next day and she tries to make that day better. Even if she doesn't succeed or feels like she doesn't succeed, she's doing something." And if you guys can feel that kinship, I've always said, I'm on this journey with you. Our healing journeys don't end because there's always new struggles in our lives. But it is how we respond to those struggles that set us up for the long run, and the things that we learn as we go along that are going to help us be able to overcome those obstacles and those struggles better and easier in the future. And that's what our positive coping skills are all about. So reach out to those people who you have in your life or who are offering support here. Make a list of the things that are the most important things that need to get done. Look at that first item and say, what of this can I do today? Can I get that first item done? Or do I need to break that first item into even smaller spots, smaller steps because it's too much? But try and do at least just a little bit of it. And really internalize that win. We have to. For me, truly believing that those little wins are successes, that they are wins, is the first step in truly believing in myself. I know who I am. I know where I can fall the most. In these last few weeks, not this week, but the weeks prior, really opened my eyes in terms of I let a lot of things just kind of pile up without dealing with them. I let the worry and concern consume me without looking at what am I worrying about? What am I concerned about? How can I overcome that? I just focused on how I was feeling about it. And as that piled up and piled up, that led to my paralysis. So, knowing that about yourself is really important as well because it gives you that insight to say, the next time something comes up where you're just constantly worrying about it and you're looking at the negative and you're seeing this, you're feeling the stress of it. It's not to say that we're not going to feel those feelings. Being able to pause at some point and say, okay, acknowledge all those feelings, but then also being able to look at what can I do about this? Is there any aspect of this that I can control? For me, the book launch and the social networking that I want to accomplish is a huge stressor for me right now. So I've really had to start researching and thinking about how can I make this successful? What do I need to do to be able to talk to people, to go up to people, to have some sort of an opening? Um, One of the things was being able to have that person remember me after that conversation. So I made a Surviving Together business card and I'm having them printed next week. So I'll have 100 or 250, whatever the order size is. And I'll be able to have those cards with me and be able to leave those with people so that they can remember the conversation and have contact information for me. And it's a lot easier than being able to say, "Oh, give me your phone," right? I'll show you the website. So I have the business card, and on the back is a QR code for Surviving Together for you for the YouTube site, so they can just scan that and be able to get to the site. So I'm really excited about that. So that's one step, and the other step is just kind of doing research into how can I decrease my social anxiety and how can I approach people about what I do, um, about what they're doing in terms of being able to effectively network. I'm so far out of my depth. It's been so long since I've had to do that. Uh, and I often say knowledge is power. So I'm giving myself knowledge and I'm reaching out and I'm connecting with some authors now who I know who are going to be there. So I have a little bit of a personal connection ahead of time. So it's a little easier to come up to them and say hi. And if I see them speaking with somebody else, I can go up and say, hi Sonia, how are you? Who's this? And have a little bit of an in into somebody else and being able to build on those personal relationships that I can, cultivate over the summit. Hi, Dan. How are you? Nice to see you here. ASM Fentanyl. I'm glad you're here. I'm a little puzzled by your comments. James, nice to see you. I hope Shelby is doing well. James is across the pond in England, and he has a wonderful bird named Shelby. Yes, SMART goals, Indigo. Yes, SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Um, that is something that, businesses use a lot with when they're doing, employee evaluations. They'll ask you to put your goals out in this format, and it certainly is a way of organizing your goals and being able to make sure that you can do them. And this achievable, the time that you do it, all of it, it can be on the smallest scales, like we spoke about. Chrissy says, I feel so fortunate that I have a mother that recognizes when I'm down and reaches out. When I know people are worried, I get energy to rise above. Support, social support really is key, especially if we find ourselves isolating ourselves. Those of us, particularly who have suffered trauma in the past, isolation's a safe space. We can control our environment, we can control who we have around us, it's something that's comfortable, and it's safety is something that a lot of us who have gone through trauma have not had at various points in our lives. So being able to have people that we can reach out to help draw us out of that isolation, to lift us up, to support us, to celebrate those wins, I think is really, really important. And even if, surviving together is the place that you find that, I know we're only on a couple of times a week, but you know that at least a couple of times a week there are going to be people here who get it and who are going to celebrate those wins with you. So reach out. Hey, Deaudrey, no worries, no worries about being late. I hope that you're doing well. Hey, Misha, how are you? Did somebody say isolation? Yeah, I know, right? It's uh it's one of the things that a lot of us struggle with. And even people who haven't been through trauma, um, one of the things that came out of COVID and the lockdown were more and more people struggling with just their mental health in general and found themselves isolated and had difficulty coming back out of that. And for those of us who were already prone to isolating, some people might have struggled with lockdown. We were like, "Woohoo! I don't have to talk to anybody because I can't because I'm being told I can't." But coming back out of that then can be even that much more difficult, right? My social anxiety was much worse after coming out of COVID than when I went in. Um, I had always struggled with depression on some level, but not as much of anxiety. I was pretty comfortable moving around with people. Um, after before my mental collapse, So before 2011, um, introducing myself to different people at parties and moving through a crowd was like it was no problem. I may have suffered from depression and emotional regulation myself, but that anxiety level of being a little out of my comfort zone wasn't so bad. After my mental collapse, well, isolation was the name of the game because it was the only place that I felt safe. And stepping out of that again was really scary. And it was easier because I had a job that I had to go to every day. So I was around people. But then COVID happened and I worked from home. So actually getting out wasn't as necessary. My son was driving by that point and he was happy as a clam to run errands. So it wasn't even necessary for me to get out and interact with people. And then the thought of doing it was right. Oh, I don't want to do that, but so I'm really having to push myself. I went to a reading at the YWCA about a woman who went through a sexual assault trauma and was let down by the system. And it was a celebration of her book and what she's accomplished since then, what she learned from going through that situation, how she's sought to increase the guidelines in California for sexual assault. And I was really looking forward to this. And I was like, these are my people. They are all coming here to listen to her, right? And I was so excited, and I thought, "Oh, I'm going to be able to talk to so many people who are, even if they haven't had trauma themselves, they're supportive of this story, and I'm gonna be able to network." And I got there, but I got there, like, on time for the thing to start, and a lot of the networking was happening beforehand, and I didn't even think about that because it's been so long since I had been in any of that situation. So I really missed my window of being able to network with a larger group. So I have the people who are at my table, but you're limited as to who is, right at your luncheon table and why they're there. And some people were just there because they were interested in the story. Some were there because they kind of got um, continuing learning education credits out of it, and their job was paying them to be there. And so I came out of it just really bummed. So, but I learned a lot, and that's the win that I had to take from that, and that I've been thinking about a lot with this upcoming um, networking opportunity at the summit. So even though most everything is gonna be happening on November 6th, I know a lot of people are gonna be arriving on the 5th. I am as well. I'll be there pretty early on the 5th. And so that's really my gonna be a great opportunity for me on an informal level to start making some connections with people. And again, the research that I'm doing as to what are little things that I can do. Um, Writing down some little prompts for myself as to how I can strike up a conversation or what I can ask of somebody to be able to engage them is becoming important for me as well. And there's a part of my brain that is like, this is such a crutch. And then there's this other part of me that says no. And this is the part I'm having to celebrate. No, this is not a crutch. This is me learning. This is me having coping skills and being able to set myself up for success. And that's a win. So I won't say that I'm past the stress, but it's more manageable right now. I'm getting more excited again. I was really excited and then I was really stressed out. And now I'm kind of 50-50 with it. And so, my goal is to be more 75-25 with excited to stressed, as the time gets even closer. And I think it helps. I'm going to be with Janet, Carry On. Many of you may know her. Beforehand, we're going to be spending some time together at her place before I actually go to the summit. So having a friend to be able to talk to and strategize a little bit and kind of go over what I've discovered up until that point and to bounce things off of right ahead of time, I think is going to be really, really helpful for me as well. Hey, Judge, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well today. And I'm so sorry to hear about your sister. Oh my goodness. Says my sister went through a sexual assault trauma. The system failed her, and the dude got no time in prison. Oh my gosh. Karma paid him back 8 months later. Now he's in a wheelchair from an accident. Well, we don't wish ill on anybody, but karma does work in mysterious ways, don't you think? I mean, it is it's definite. Absolutely. Crystal says crutches can be helpful. It's okay to use helpful aids when needed. And being able to think about those things as these are my positive coping skills. These are my helpful tools, and not thinking about it as a negative, but seeing it as a positive. And being able to celebrate the fact even that you're creating these positive coping skills, right? That for me is a win. Celebrating the fact that I'm attacking this problem and not just letting the stress and the negative emotions be the overriding factor of how I'm feeling about this, but saying, what can I control? And I really do love the serenity prayer, whether it's God or the universe, but just thinking about what is in my control, what can't I control, and I hope I have the wisdom to know the difference. And I really try and look at most situations that are overwhelming to me. And that's honestly one of the first questions that I do ask myself. What about the situation is in my control? What can't I control? And being able to distinguish between those two, this control, and let go of your feelings in regards to it because there isn't anything you can do about it. What can I control? I can control how I approach these people. I can control my attitude when I go in. I can control having these helpful prompts and being able to practice with other people what I might say. I can control what I envision happening as a result of being there. I'd love to get into speaking engagements. So connecting with people who might be interested in hearing my story presented to their organization or an organization that they know, that's going to be really important to me. So identifying those people who have those sorts of connections. having these goals to be able to set myself up for success has been very helpful in helping me manage the stress that I'm feeling about this event. And one of my other goals with this is just learning from these women who have set up successful companies or have taken their advocacy to the next level or have taken their story and written an entire book about it, published it, and promoted it. You know, where did they get the idea from? Where did they get the financing from? Where did they, and just learning as much as I can about each of these individual situations and trying to soak up as much knowledge as possible from these people and to be able to make connections for people that I can utilize as resources, as knowledge wells in the future. That's what I need to be focusing on in terms of my networking. And having those goals in mind has been has made it easier for me to think about approaching these people instead of just having, 50 people in a room or 100. I don't even know how many people are going to be there. There could be 1,000 for all I know. But instead of just looking at a sea of faces, thinking, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. Let's pick them off one by one and let's try and talk to as many people as possible and let me learn their story. Because if there's one thing, people like to talk about themselves. I think you guys can get that from this channel. If I wasn't comfortable talking about myself, this would be really boring. I'd be, relying on you guys even more so, being like, "Fill the silence." Oh, I love this. I love hearing this from you. Deidre says, "I'm an atheist and I love the serenity prayer." Yeah, so however you feel about the, God grant me the, or the universe grant me the, or it's just grant me, my higher me, my internal higher power, my internal child, my internal spiritual being, or whatever you put in that position, just grant me grant me the ability to know what I can control, what I can't control, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think it's um, incredibly important. Misha says, I love that so many of us are of different beliefs and locations, yet we're able to still see each other as friends. 100%. Because bottom line, we're people, right? And we come from different backgrounds, we come from different cultures, we come from different countries, and different religions, but we're human beings at the bottom line. You know, a lot of us are also trauma survivors. And so, and trauma survivors of different types of trauma. Even those of us who are here who may not have had suffered what they consider trauma in their lives have had struggles, who have had obstacles that you've overcome or have just had some mental health issues. You know, there's a thread among that allows us to relate to each other if we're willing to open our eyes and open our hearts and truly see each other. And that is what I absolutely love about this community. You guys are so welcoming to each other and so supportive. It's what I've wanted from day one. And even if my viewers, in chats are only consistently at 5 or 6 people, it's 5 or 6 people who I'm connecting with and who are connecting with each other, and I'll keep showing up for you guys. Crystal says, Mac, just remember no matter how many people are around you in a room, all you need to focus on is the one person you are talking to. Absolutely. Yep. And I think that really focusing on that person and trying to learn as much as I can from them and their story is going to serve me well in terms of feeling comfortable speaking with a lot of people instead of focusing on who I am and what I can bring or what about my story is interesting enough for other people. My focus is them, right? If they want to learn about me, they'll ask about me and then they'll learn about my story, about why I'm there and what I'm passionate about. And I think that that'll come out naturally. I mean, I'm going to be part of the speaking panel, so people are going to see me, and I'm hoping that that will springboard into people wanting to speak to me. But even if it doesn't, you know, I can still approach people and learn about their story and learn from them. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be just surrounded by people who are amazing in their own right, whether it's they're an advocate or they're a writer or they're a company owner or they're just have done, you know, something else. There is something I can learn from each person that I connect with. And I've already connected with one person who's going to be in Vancouver for an extended stay because it was on their bucket list and stated that, you know, I have the day after the 7th is kind of a looks like it'll be a free day for me. I don't think there's going to be anything going on with the summit, but I don't leave until the morning of the 8th. So I have that free day. So we're already planning on connecting up. And I know I'll connect with her at the summit. She's one of the authors in the book as well. And so we'll connect up and we're going to plan on seeing some sites together. I'll see what she's already seen. And, you know, even if it's just getting together for dinner or for lunch, it'll be great. So, yeah, the excitement's starting to take over. I'm still have to figure out what I'm going to wear, guys. Uh, I'm really thinking that I need to go out and go shopping for a dress. I'm looking at my closet and there's really nothing appropriate because it's going to be colder and the nicest dresses that I have are more my summer dresses and summer wear. So I'm thinking that I might need to go out and get something. So I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see how the next couple of weeks go financially. You know, taking that week off is I have to think about that as well. You know, I'm not gonna have that income coming in. So um, I don't know. I may still cobble something together with what I have. We'll see. Not going to a hockey game? I wish I could afford to go to a hockey game. My goodness, they're just so expensive. If somebody gave me tickets, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I don't even know if they've got a hockey game going on in Vancouver when I'm there. I'm sure. I'm sure there will. Judge says wear black goes with everything. Yeah, I did get a pair of light gray pants, but they're almost like silver. And I'm thinking about doing something with that. I do have blouses that I can wear. Um, and then I really would be wearing like a blazer or something. It's just that when I look at the past awards shows and what people are wearing, that they're all wearing these fancy dresses. I don't have a fancy dress. Um, at least not anything that would be appropriate for that time of year. So we'll see. Um, if I'm in a suit, I'm in a suit, I guess. You know, I'm gonna try not to worry about it too much. Setting myself up for success with the intention, inspirational Thanks, Misha. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm definitely bringing black shoes. So whatever I'm doing is going to go with black shoes because that will obviously go with everything. Wear color you've never worn before. Step out and embrace yourself. Well, I do have a blue blazer. And blue by blue, I mean kind of this color that you're seeing on the screen here with my name that I'm contemplating wearing. Um, it's not best quality though. I was disappointed when I got it to see kind of some of the stitching. When you order online, sometimes you can't tell. Um, the darker colors, you kind of can't see that stitching as much. With the lighter colors, you can kind of tell. So I gotta put it together and kinda wear it and then, like, show it to some other people and see if they can tell. Yeah, there's a couple of thrift shops around here that I am thinking about going to, as well, especially now that it's getting colder and they will have switched over to their colder gear. Colder gear? Dresses with long sleeves, let's put it that way. I mean, I can always wear a sweater or blazer, over that as well, I suppose. But I'm hooking up, no, I guess it's next Saturday with, my childhood best friend. We went through high school together. I met her when I was 13, and we've been out of touch these last few years, but she sent me a birthday message, and I hadn't heard from her in a couple of years, and she sent me a birthday a happy birthday. And so we're getting together next Saturday for lunch. So I'm really excited to kind of reconnect with her and, maybe I'll invite her out shopping or maybe my son's girlfriend can go with me shopping. Um, always need people who like to shop. Because if I'm going to look at stuff, I mean, I'm like going to check out everything that they have. So I'm gonna be there for a few hours. This is not an in and out thing. So I gotta make sure that they're aware of that ahead of time. Oops, I missed it. Misha said Bradley did some trading this week. We might be able to have a vehicle again soon. Yay! We'll keep thinking of you and we'll keep praying for you. Absolutely. Crystal says dress with something that can be okay for warmer or cooler weather. Vancouver fluctuates. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be maybe 40 or 50, somewhere in between there. And we are gonna be inside for most of it. I have to look. They do have a place that they are gonna take the book picture of like all the authors who are there. They're gonna take a picture with us, and I think they've actually picked a place. I don't think it's at the hotel, so I need to look at that again and see if that's an inside or an outside thing. Um, of course, can always wear a coat and then take it off at the last minute. But I'll definitely want if I do a dress, I'm gonna bring either, uh, a cardigan or a blazer or something that I could throw over it because I do tend to get cold. Oh, that's interesting. Dodger says there's charity shops in South Africa, but they don't sell clothes. We'll see books in Ireland. They are everywhere. Well, I hope you are getting your thrift on then in Ireland, enjoying, kind of a whole new spectrum of things. But yeah, I love going thrifting, especially by us. There's two thrift stores in particular that tend to have some pretty nice things. And even though the prices have gone up so much, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, if whatever town you're in, if you've seen this, but because of the economy, because people are, looking at not buying new and trying to save money, the thrift shops have gotten the message that, hey, we may be a thrift shop, but we can charge more than we have been because it's still 10 times cheaper than going to a department store and buying these clothes. So it was a little shocking. I mean, you used to be able to go in and, a pair of pants was like 350 or something, and it's doubled at least. Which still being able to get a nice pair of pants or something, you pair of dress pants for 750 is still a pretty cheap deal, right? But just the fact that it's increased so much was, rather surprising to me. I need a drink of water. Hang on, guys. I know I missed some comments, especially as you guys were talking back and forth in terms of supporting each other. Oh, hey, Bonnie. Body Illusion is here. You snuck in. I didn't see you. Hello, hello, hello. Let me just say that I want to send hugs and love out to everybody who needs them. I know Jen Marie is having a rough time right now, so sending hugs and love out to her, um, as well as Krumel is still dealing with some things, so he's usually on replay though, so he's still with us. He just hasn't been in the live chats. So let's send hugs and love out to him as well, and to everybody, anybody who needs it. Right? You guys are always in the whole community is always in my thoughts and prayers. And again, if you ever need to reach out to me directly, you can reach me at survivingtogether, SASS at gmail.com. And that address is in every video description. So you can get it there. Let's try to take and also sending a specific call out to Jimena. As many of you know, she lost her father a couple weeks ago, and um, she's she also had another setback herself. So hugs and love to her, and exactly sending love to anyone who will accept it. Definite giant hugs out to all of you. And so with that, I think that's about it for today. So guys, remember, I mean, it's about the courage to change. Such a personal, it's such a personal thing. And usually there's a pivotal moment where we need to decide, is staying the same more hurtful than making the effort to change, than the fear of the unknown, trying to do something different. And I want to find out from you guys. I'm going to ask you, for you, anyone who's listening on replay, or for you guys who are here now in the comments after the section, has there ever been a pivotal moment where you've said, "Mm, this is it"? Some people describe it as, hitting rock bottom. Other people describe it as they just couldn't go on the way that they were. Other people describe it as there's just a moment where they feel that internal spark and that pushes them in a direction to make a positive step. And again, and that step can be really small, but no matter how big or how small those positive steps are, celebrate each and every one of them. Do not minimize it. Do not think less of yourself because you only got X done instead of Y. Celebrate that. Believe it. Each and every one of you are beautiful human beings, and you have something to offer this world, no matter what you think. Sometimes it just takes that internal courage to be able to make that step into the light. And that's not to say that you aren't going to backtrack. Making positive changes is just like, healing is never linear. We have successes and we have setbacks. Let's take those setbacks, take a pause, get your grace, or should say, give yourself the grace and figure out, where can my next positive step be? Where can my next how far is my next step forward? What can I do to change my current situation? So I want each and every one of you to please remember that you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. So hugs and love from me. Mwah. Bye, guys. I will see you on Wednesday. I'll have a thumbnail up probably by the end of the weekend. Surviving together, never alone. I love all of you so much. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, not only for the support from me, but for the support you show each other. It's just fabulous. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Bye.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain, but we stand, we rise again, stronger now, we break the chain, surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, but warriors too. With love as our armor, we see this through. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together.